broadcast section with no embargo, followed by an embargoed section at 10:30 p.m. tonight. No live tweeting during the broadcast section. Please use the microphone provided. Jeremy.
Ange, good morning. That was quite a night last night, and after your press conference, the draw came out. It's Liverpool in the semi-final. What do you think?
Yeah, we're in it, which is the main thing, and exciting fixture. I think I could be wrong, but the recent history of the Carabao Cup, I think, could be the last X number of years. It's either been won by a Manchester club or Liverpool, so we'll have to beat all of them to get through. So great draw for us.
It was a spectacular match, and afterwards you were saying that are you not entertained when you were asked about the performance? You've been compared to Russell Crowe as Maximus in the Gladiator film. Are you a footballing gladiator?
Yeah, top actor, Aussie, fellow Aussie. Look, I genuinely believe that. I think, there's a big part of our game that is about, maybe entertainment's the wrong word, but, you go to a game of football for, to kind of feel emotions that, maybe in your day-to-day existence you don't get the opportunity to, both, exhilarating and both anxious. And I think that's what we love about it. It's, I've said before, it's, there's a lot of suffering in there when you're watching a football game. But if you come out on the right side, it's an exhilarating feeling.
It was a crazy game. Can you, though, be that gung-ho on Sunday against Liverpool, who were so good?
I'm not sure what you mean by gung-ho. We'll play our football because that's what's winning us games, and that's what we'll do against Liverpool, who are a fantastic side, going really well. Arnie's come in. It's not easy when you're taking over from somebody of the status of a Jurgen Klopp, but they're very settled as a team. They've got quality within the starting 11, within the squad, and they've dealt with things. You saw them last week, and with a man down, they still have a real belief at the moment. So they're the standout team in the competition so far. But again, on our day when we play our football, we're pretty good opposition.
And just on the team news, Werner was unwell. Will he be okay, do you think, for Sunday, a new doggy?
Hopefully, yeah, we'll see. Obviously, boys are just coming in now at late night. So, with Timo, it was obviously unwell yesterday, so we've got 48 hours or so before the game. So hopefully he'll recover, and the plan is Destiny should be okay. Thank you.
Just a question on Archie Gray. He's played now 3 games at centre-back. Obviously, when he came in, you were aware of his talent, and he's played, obviously, at right-back for you. But putting him at centre-back, are you may be surprised at the level of performance that he's managed to achieve, just being put into that position?
Well, I think he's, I said last week, I think he's been outstanding, and we have no choice. We've got no other centre backs, So it's you put an 18-year-old kid there, but I shouldn't say 18-year-old kid because he's a man in every sense of the word, and he's handled it brilliantly, both from a footballing perspective, but also from just like I said, if you do it for one game, you can sort of get away with it, where you put a young player out of position in one game, but he's done it in multiple games now, and against some pretty decent opposition. And like I said, as an 18-year-old, he's handling it so well, and it's not like he's surrounded by experience. Obviously our goalkeeper's out, our 2 centre-backs are out, our left-back was out last night, so him and Radu, I think, handling it awfully well. I keep saying, you take out the goalkeeper, 2 centre-backs and a left-back from any team, and I'm sure it'll have effect. And the fact that our guys, I said, it's not just about the way they're performing, like I said, that they're still trying to play in the manner we want to play. We're not making allowances that, we've got Archie at centre-back or Radu, or we've got Fraser in goal, still trying to play our football. It's a credit to them.
About Fraser, you mentioned last night after the game, you said no one is more disappointed than him. does he need picking up then ahead of Sunday, or what does a manager say to a player in that situation?
Again, there's no choice. There's a game Sunday, so we can't be sitting here worrying about, Fraser's a very experienced guy. He's, like I said, he was disappointed last night, with the way things panned out. He was outstanding for us before that and in the other games, so, you can sort of focus on those moments, or you can sort of lean back on the fact that, for the rest of it, he was outstanding. And we just got to keep going with these things. You can sort of wallow in both, the negativity or the uncertainty or whatever, but you just got to keep going. That's my attitude to most things in life. At some point you just, I'm sure the people are having some pretty bad days out there, but they've got to put their shoes on, they've got to put their work outfit out on and go to work. Go to work and just earn. And of course we'll help Fraser like we help all the players, but we've got a big game Sunday and we need him, and I'm sure he'll be ready for it.
Just lastly, 19 goals in Tottenham's last 3 matches, either side, in domestic competition. No chance then of 0-0 on Sunday?
I'd be very surprised, mate, but you never know. You never know. That would be because they're, like I said, they're a fantastic team. They've got unbelievable attacking threats, so you're always going to be wary of that. But we're pretty good at scoring ourselves, so we'll see. We'll see.
Hi, Ange, how you doing?
I'm good, mate.
Just like lots of other managers have come in and their theories have been taken on by other teams, do you think your theory, your Ange ball, might be taken on by other managers? It's a thrilling style of football and one which clearly fans love to watch, neutrals love to watch.
Oh, look, I don't know. Like I said after the game last night, it's just, I guess it's the team we want to be, and some of it is around, obviously, the premise that we want to be a sort of attacking team. There's no doubt about that in everything we do, both in the way we attack, but also in the way we defend. We want to be an attacking team. Now, within that context, we still want to be successful. So it's not about discounting that important aspect to it. But I've always tried to, take sort of, for want of a better word, less travelled roads rather than, because I just think for me there's no real advantage in me trying to do what everyone else is doing or the majority are doing. I've got to do things a little bit differently so I can be, at the age of a young 59, be sitting in the Premier League after coming from Australia. And I think for us as a football club, if we're going to bridge that road to success, we've got to do things a little bit differently. It's not easy, but I still think it's the path we need to choose. And then sort of how others react to that, well, that's, again, we've got to be guided by our own principles and guided by our own signs of progress.
Regarding Fraser Forster last night, I mean, I don't know whether you'd be a manager that would necessarily put an arm around him, but in future, would you maybe encourage your defenders not to play out so much from the back until Vicario comes back in, because maybe that isn't his strength?
No, because that would give us multitudes of other problems. We're where we are and we'll continue to progress because of the way we play. I don't think we need to protect anyone in our team. I think if you go out there and play, you're kind of putting your hand up to play our way. And but we'll help players. I mean, last night, it was what we try and do is, as coaches, is give as many tools for our players to make good decisions out there. Ultimately, we can't control a game of football, managers, as much as we try to. And I'm a big believer in giving players the tools to make the best decisions out there. And I think Fraser could have made some better decisions out there. It wasn't because of us trying to play out from the back. We just made some poor decisions. I think other players made poor decisions that led up to the ball being back with Fraser before that. So that's where you go, okay, well, how can we help? We help them by showing them that there are better decisions in the way we play without going away from our football that will mean we won't have the same outcome as last night.
Finally, on a slightly lighter note, you've spoken before about how your how Dutch football used to influence you as a kid, but also how you were a fan, in inverted commas, of Liverpool. Just talk to us about your recollections of watching, I guess, the early 80s?
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, actually my first was probably around, I think, was it 74 FA Cup, might have been, Liverpool. Yeah, I loved the whole, I think back then it was kind of pass and move, Liverpool style. They used to play a lot of five-a-sides at training. I used to read about it, like digest it, and really what five-a-sides were was a modern sort of rondo. So, you know, ahead of their time, kept the ball on the deck, all the stuff I loved, mainly because my dad sort of loved the way they played. So, yeah, that was born a bit from that, and fair to say that they went away from that after a while. But yeah, no, I yeah, a lot of my sort of early recollections and enjoyment of football came from that style of game. Thank you, man.
Hi, Ange. Is Mikey Moore in a position to return?
No, that's it. No, I mean he hasn't been involved, so we'll need to get at least a couple of weeks training into Mikey and get him back up to speed. But yeah, hopefully not too far away.
Yeah. How much did Jed Spence deserve that standing ovation last night for the work he's put in recent months?
Yeah, brilliant, fantastic again. You know, he's like I said last week, he's had to bide his time. Probably deserved to play a little bit more, but kind of the situation we were in at early part of the year, you know. Archie was playing more as a sort of cover for left back and right back, and he wasn't sort of, and obviously not registered for Europe, kind of limited his opportunities, but he kept working hard at training. And I think it's brilliant that he's, like I said, it's not that he's come in and he's kind of filled a spot for us. He's actually making an impact. You know, again, he set up, played a great ball into Dom for his goal, but defensively he did an enormous job for us. He's always, physically he's outstanding, and really pleased for him because it's not easy when you're training and you want to contribute and you don't get that opportunity. Yeah, great for him. Yeah, look, he loved the day he signed for Tottenham. It's taken him a long time to kind of get out there, and for him to sort of feel the love of the supporters last night. Credit to him and well deserved.
Has he proved the point in these last couple of games that he can sustain a consistency for you?
Yeah, I think so. To a certain extent, it's 2 games. Always put context into this, and yeah, for him now it's about pushing on and challenging the guys who are there. At some point we will have a squad, and I will have some selection issues. Not at the moment, but it's great for us that again we've got a player who's come in through in a really difficult time for us, and not just come in and sort of fill gaps, but actually made us a better team, I think.
And we saw Vicario on the pitch after the game, crutches. Just wondered how
he's a bit away.
Yeah, he's a doubt for Sunday. Yeah, just wondered how he's doing in his recovery.
Yeah, going well. Typical sort of Vic. He's pushing every boundary, mate. He's I think again, obviously he's still a fair bit away, but whatever sort of timeline that is, he'll make sure he's back as quickly as possible. He's still very much around the group. You saw him last night, but even at training every day, he's still very much around the group. He's so invested in what we're doing, and he's kind of helping the keepers, but also helping the whole group. He's one of the leaders, and yeah, he's progressing well.
And afterwards, you said in your interview correctly that the pundits, whatever, are probably going mad about the way the game was. Do you think the way that we talk about football and entertainment has changed? Has it become more sort of serious? Because if I think back to like when I was growing up, Newcastle, everyone loved that team, and it feels like now there's more kind of criticism of that way of playing.
I don't know if it's criticism, but there is a lot more. I think people have dived into kind of analytics and information, and it's a bit like I was saying with VAR, where they think that technology should bring perfection, and the beauty of our game is the flaws in our game. Is that's what creates moments and goals. And I think people say, Tottenham were great, but if they did this and if they did that, they would be what? If we were great, that means we'd be perfect. But that will never happen. And I think sometimes you just got to sit back and just say, okay, actually, that's pretty impressive that, in the last 2 games we've scored 9 goals and against Premier League opposition. And like I said, with a fairly thin squad of players, and you've got to say, okay, well, analysis aside, it's actually it's pretty good going, and just enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is. Because again, I just think, you can and too many do overanalyze things. Like every goal has a mistake in it from an opposition player. Every goal, you can dissect the living daylights out of it. If that's what you're looking for. But that doesn't mean that that's a flaw in the system or a flaw in the game or a flaw in the model. I just think that that's a consequence of the beauty of our game, is that, as much as, like I said, us managers want to control every aspect of it, you can't, because they're human beings,
How aware are you of the kind of wider discourse? Like, as a manager, do you ignore all of it, or do you think some of it's worth kind of paying attention to?
I don't ignore it, but I don't seek it. I mean, like I said, I'm still a fan of the game, so if there's stuff that will come across my desk that I find interesting, then I'll read it. I like more reading stuff that, it's got a bit of substance and context to it. But yeah, things will come across the desk. But in terms of the general noise, no, I don't. I just don't think there's any benefit in me sort of jumping into that world, because, as I said, a lot of it is, just the fact that, there are a lot more platforms now for people to have an opinion, which is great, I guess, in terms of. But, is that really sort of beneficial or helpful to me, or do I get any sort of? Because I think some of it is just to provoke reaction. So, and if people think it upsets me or gets me angry, it's not kind of the way I'm wired. I've said before, I've kind of backed away from social media in its current form, because I don't like it. I don't like the kind of what it brings out, and yeah, like I said, I've got the world's most silent phone, mate. So it's a blissful existence I have.
Please.
And it's been about a month since Vicario's been in goal, and since Fraser's been in goal and Vicario's been injured. Can you tell me, he's probably only made like 2 mistakes in that Man United match in the 7 games he's played, so how have you sort of appraised him? And it felt like you left the door open a little bit to a transfer in January for a goalkeeper. Is he sort of closing that door when you first got injured, Vicario?
I think I left it open in that, if we got another injury of the goalkeeper, then we'd definitely have to sign someone. So, yeah, but I didn't leave the door open in terms of... Look, like I said, I think Fraser's, he's done really well for us coming in. It's not easy. Anytime a kind of number 2 goalkeeper comes in, it's always, especially for an extended period of time, it's not the easiest position to come into, but I think he's handled it really well. As I expected him to. And, like I said, he was disappointed with last night, but we've got to keep that in context of, his overall performances. It's not like it's been 4 or 5 games of kind of a series of mistakes. So we keep a context of what happened last night. He still contributed to our victory, because I thought in the first half with his feet he was outstanding. He helped us platform us to get up the park, to beat their pressure. Pulled off a good save just before they scored the first goal from Xerxes. He didn't have a lot to do, to be fair. I thought we handled it really well. But, he made a couple of poor decisions on the night, and, we'll work with him. Birch will work with him, and like I said, we've got no choice but to saddle up again on Sunday and go again.
He's been excellent in the other 6 games, especially since he's not been match fit. Like, how impressive is that? And are you comfortable with him sort of continuing maybe for another month, another 2 months in that sort of length of time?
I mean, look, like I said, at the moment, that's the situation we're in. So, it's for us to look beyond. I'm going into every game not knowing if I've got 11 fit players, mate. So for me to look beyond sort of Liverpool on Sunday, like I said, we rolled up yesterday and Timo's, not well. So Destiny had to pull out, 10 first team players. Carabao Cup semi-final, we got 2 players suspended from last night, which is unbelievable to me that we got yellow cards and they didn't, but that's another story. But we got Pepe and Matters, so we're 2 down from this point. So if I lose anyone else between now and then, mate, so I'll go nuts. I want to have a decent Christmas, so I'll just focus on Sunday and making sure we're 11 fit players.
just a nice Christmassy point was Arne Slot said that your team's a joy to watch. He sort of compared it to the sort of Spurs mentality of Hoddle, Van der Vaart, Modric. He said he was such a fan that he could almost be your agent, so I just wondered if you could return the compliment to him.
My agent will be happy to hear that. No, look, I appreciate it. Kind words from somebody who is making his own impact in the game. Look, I think most fellow managers, whether they sort of agree with my approach will kind of understand where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to do. It's, I guess, that respect is kind of mutual for me. I said last week, we've all got really difficult tasks. We've all got our own challenges. We all go about it in our own way. I admire the people who, stick to their principles and have conviction about what they do, whether they're successful or not, because we're not all going to be successful as much as we'd like to. I appreciate the sentiment, and like I said, I think most managers, whether they agree with my approach or not, will kind of understand what I'm doing.
Finish the section with George, please.
On a similar point, actually, I guess, would you be more inclined to sort of listen to the opinion of someone like Arne Slot rather than a certain former Liverpool defender who's kind of telling you you've got to change, even though you've got 10 players out and you've just won 4-3? Jamie
Carragher, mate. You can name him. It's all right. He'll enjoy that. People tell me he likes me, so that's a good thing. They tell me, did you hear what he said? But he likes you as a person. I go, that's important to me. Look, it's all valid. It's all valid, but I don't need validation from anybody to do what I do. Whether you, like I said, whether you agree with my approach or not, there's validity in both. And I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I love the fact that people are talking about our games and analysing our games, and I mean, I think that's important as well for this football club. I'd rather that than us be anonymous and no one talking about us, or we just sort of, grinding out an existence. I like the fact that, and as I've always said, you've got to be prepared for scrutiny, you've got to be prepared for criticism. It's how you react to that that's more important. But I don't think one is any less credible than the other in many respects. What I'm saying is I don't even need validity either way. It won't change what I believe, because what I believe is born from, a lifetime of experiences and values that I won't let anyone sort of tamper with from the outside. So, I've said before, whether it's Jamie or anyone else kind of, scrutinising or criticising our approach, that's healthy, because to me, how you react to that is much more important than that itself. Because if you're going to jump it every time, then that kind of tells me, well, we don't really have a lot of belief in this building about what we're doing if we're always going to worry about what he's saying, or, we need somebody to say a good thing, or somebody, he said a bad thing. I think it's healthy if it's coming from the right sort of place. And I think, with someone like, Jamie, he's there to give his opinion. He's not going to stand there and say, well, actually, I've got nothing to say. He's going to give an opinion. Some of the other stuff I kind of, that I don't understand, because I think it's just about, getting some headlines and that, But again, if you react to that, then it kind of says more about yourself than anything else.
Any you want to expand on in terms of the things that you've liked just to get a headline?
No, not really. But I mean, it's there's some stuff out there that I find, and at the appropriate time, I'll call it out, just offensive towards me. I just think, I know I'm up here, I've got a silly accent, and, I kind of, maybe they take things as seriously as people want me to, and fairly dismissive of me, but that's all right. I love my life, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing, mate.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there, move on to the Embargoed section for 10:30pm tonight. Dave?
Danger.
I wanted to talk to you about Archie Gray. There's a little clip, you probably haven't had time to see it, but after the game he's with Fraser. I don't know if you've seen it, but he says, "It's my fault, mate."
Did he say mate?
Yeah, yeah.
No, there you go. I'm having an influence then. Good stuff. There you go. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, though, what was that? An 18-year-old kid?
Yeah, it's great.
What does that say about him?
Yeah, fantastic, and it's a sort of testament to him, but also to what we're trying to build here. You know that guys are not. They're taking a collective approach to things. And Archie's probably thinking in that moment, I could have made a better decision, which would have helped Fraser. I'm sure Fraser said, no, mate, I should have handled it better myself. But I think it's part of our growth. As I keep saying, we'll eventually get out of this and hit some smoother waters. But the way the guys are dealing with it at the moment, in terms of accountability, responsibility, there's no sort of factions or people splintering off and saying, this is a difficult time, I'm going to sort of save myself here. And, everyone's kind of, we had the injured lads in the dressing room before the game, they were out on the pitch after this. So everyone's really invested in it. And I think that's an important part of how you deal with adversity, growth. And if you've got an 18-year-old who's, standing out there and literally telling a man twice his age that, you know what, I'll take responsibility. I think it's great signs for us.
Was he talking about the second goal, just to be clear, do you think?
No idea, I haven't seen the clip, mate, but...
I mean, he played the back passes technically for both goals.
Yeah. I'm not sure, probably one to ask Archie about, but I think you would have found a few of the boys kind of had similar sentiments that they could have handled that situation better in terms of, I think... Look, I think the first goal can happen, Xerxes was actually in the box pressing when he actually what he did was illegal, but anyway, we'll let that run because there was no VAR last night and that was my decision, so I'm happy with that. I think we should have waited for him to clear the box before we start playing because then he presses from inside the box. So we could have handled that situation a little bit better, just some calmness. But then when that happens, I think us going back to Fraser a couple of times probably wasn't the right decision. But again, Fraser could have handled that better by just, telling the boys that, it's about ownership and responsibility in that area. So, we've got a free kick, Biss goes back, Archie goes back, do we need to go back in that situation? Probably not. So that's what I mean in terms of decision making. It's just our decisions in that moment, we probably weren't as clear-headed as we should be.
Just one quick bit of housekeeping. Van der Ven, Romero, Davis.
Look, Ben's first cab off the rank, so we're kind of hoping, next week at some point he'll join in full training, which will give him a chance. As I said, with Romero and Mickey, it'll be in the new year. When, again, as they get close, I'll probably give a better timeline for that.
I remember a week or so ago there was some talk and question about the transfer policy at Tottenham in terms of signing younger players.
Yeah.
Dom Solanke, 27, 60 odd million on him. Is he an example? He's doing really well. Is he an example that the club have been doing things to try and win now, and it's not all just about tomorrow and 10 years?
Yeah, look. The reality is, mate, it's a balance of both. Like, we're rebuilding a team. That's quite evident. I think anyone who hasn't seen the amount of turnover we've had now. How you go about that? Now, are we going to be a club that's going to spend £1 billion to buy ready-made players? No, we're not. There are very few of those. There are the ones that can do it, but we're not one of them. So that's the reality. So then you've got to say, okay, where's your spend going to go? Now, I was really keen on getting Dom in because I knew he'd make us better from day one, absolutely, and he has. He's been outstanding for us. But when you're paying for ready-made players, there's a premium to it. How we allocated the rest of that money was the kind of decision we had to make. Do we go for somebody ready-made? Now, we could have maybe gone somebody for ready-made, but I reckon it would be one of those stories where I'll be 70 years old and I'll be saying, you know what, we could have signed Archie Gray at 18, but I kind of went, and Archie Gray ends up being, the player we know he's going to be. And so you go, you know what, actually, okay, we probably need another experienced player, but I don't think we can pass up on Archie. I think this is a unique opportunity, unique space for us to get a really talented 18-year-olds, because anyone who's talented at 18 is going to have competition around them. So, you kind of have to make that decision. I thought it was the best decision for the club at the time. I think it will be the best decision that the club's made in the longer term, but when you have finite resources, that does affect other decisions you make. So I think it's a balance of both. I think moving forward, we probably need to err in getting a little bit more experience just to help the group, because we've got very few at that kind of sweet spot in terms of age. A lot of our players are at that younger level, and we want to give Archie and Lucas and Pape Sarr and Destiny and all these guys who are in their sort of teens or early 20s the opportunity to keep growing. Is we need to make sure we've got quality around them. So, you know, how you allocate sort of the next resources it may shift a little bit. But like I said, I'd hate to be sitting here now and saying we had an opportunity to sign Archie Gray at 18 and we passed it up because of maybe we could have got in a player who maybe helps us short term for a couple of years, but ultimately we would have missed out on a hugely talented player.
On the flip side though, would Dom's age ever have counted against him when you were talking about signing him?
Yeah, there's discussions. I think as a club ours, when we're allocating such a big resource to, there's always those discussions that are had, because you can't get that one wrong. Because if you invest heavily on a player who you need to make an impact, if you get that one wrong, that has massive ramifications, not just for one window, but subsequent windows. Because I think if you get a young one wrong, there's a bit of latitude there in terms of moving forward, but you need to get it right. So we had a lot of discussion around it, but Johan was, you know, really big on Dom, and, you know, I was really big on him. We'd had guys like Matty Wells who'd worked with him, just character-wise, it just ticked every box. It was a big decision for us, but I was really confident it was the right one.
It's a different subject. There's a fan protest this weekend. I don't know how much you're aware of that. Does that concern you about any impact it might have? There are very few cases of clubs being successful with the background of protests going on. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, look, you know, I've said before, I think the path to success is a lot smoother when everyone's aligned, absolutely. When there is discourse, invariably it affects, you know, the way forward. But at the same time, we live in a world where people, you know, allowed to express their feelings. We've just got to make sure on Sunday that the things we can control, particularly me, in terms of the football department, is we go out there against a top side and put on a performance where our fans, you know, are focused on what's happening on the field. We need them on Sunday. I thought they were great last night with the noise they made. They helped us through it. There was a good energy in the stadium. We're going to need that on Sunday for sure. So hopefully that becomes kind of the main talking point out of it.
John.
Arnie Slot, Honest Slot, has said that he likes your football so much that he hopes you actually win something. Good attacking football works, and it's good for football in general. Are you happy to be an evangelist for the entire game?
Oh, no, I don't think I'm an evangelist for the entire game. I'm just to quote Monty Python, I'm just a naughty little boy. Why did I say that for? I think, you know, like I said, it's what I love about football. There's got to be differences. There's got to be people who are prepared to do things a little bit different, and I think that's what we love about our game, that there is that variety, and that allows opinion, that allows, you know, emotion to come into it. I'd hate to think, though, that people think I'm just sort of some, you know, showman or something. You know, I want to win. That's still the core of my being. I hate losing, and I want to win. I want to be successful, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I'm so driven by that on a daily basis. I've been my whole career, but I feel if I can win and play in this manner, it makes an impact. Yeah, and I've said before, we all want something, you know, a little bit of a footprint that we make during our journeys, and I want that to be my footprint. That, you know what, I was successful, we won, but I did it, you know, maybe a little bit of a different way, which I think stays in people's consciousness longer than just kind of doing things normally. Now we're not there yet, and you know, and some will say we're a long way away from it, and whether we ever get there, who knows? But I'm just determined to, like I said, bring success to this football club, win things, and do it in a manner that hopefully makes an impact.
You've been very clear about your philosophy, but you say that certain things have been said about you have been offensive, which one has overstepped the mark.
I said that. I think that's for another time. Like I said, and it's not the first time in my career, but I guess you kind of feel that, 26 years of hard graft should get you a little bit of more respect. And I'm not the only one. I've seen it happen to other managers. I saw it happen to Unai when he was here. Saw it happen to Nuno when he was here. I think I said last week, I think we've crossed the Rubicon in terms of how we treat people sometimes, and I get that not everyone will be a fan of the way I do things, and even the way I play, and people will have different opinions. I think that's, like I said, that's normal, that's healthy, but some of it's been pretty dismissive, but that's okay.
You mentioned Gladiator. Do you see yourself as a bit of a Maximus character? That's what he wants in the end.
Love the movie, love Russell Crowe. I haven't seen the new one yet, so great story. Yeah, that's all I'll say on that, mate. I've already got myself into trouble with Monty Python, so we'll leave it there.
Do you think you're giving Spurs fans what they want? Because they've just been through a spell where a series of managers play very negative football. You play football to the club's not saying giving goal, entertainment, obviously defending stuff. Do you think you're giving Spurs fans?
Again, that's not for me to judge. I think that's for the supporters to kind of measure. But when I came in, I made it clear, and I think the club knew what I was about. I wasn't going to come in and do anything different than what I'm doing, because I've done that for 26 years. And my impression is it's what the club wanted. Of course, they want to win things, but they want to win. Every club wants to win things, but they wanted their team to play a certain way. I was excited by that, and that's what I'm trying to deliver. And whether the supporters kind of understand that or appreciate that as a whole, I'm not sure. That's up to them. But I get the sense that the Spurs supporters I have sort of any contact with, in terms of out and about, this is what they want. They want to win, and they definitely want to win, but they want their team to be playing sort of in this manner, or with this kind of intent.
Does the criticism surprise you a little bit? Should we be embracing the chaos? I mean, this is what we want.
Yeah, but it's a bit of human nature. It's a bit of how we are these days. I don't think we know what we want. We get something, and then we want something more, and we want something more, and then that doesn't satisfy, so we want something else. And it's like, I'm a lot simpler. I just think, whatever makes you happy, just hold on to it, cherish it, and kind of embrace it. There doesn't have to be more. We just appreciate something for what it is. But we've all got people in our lives like that. It was described to me. We've all got that uncle that even on the best day says, but it's raining outside, even though we've just won the lottery. We've had to share it with someone because two people won it. So it just depends on your outlook on life, mate. How many of those you got,
Will it always be that way until you won something in your own, been successful in your life? It's just always.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think that you just have to understand that. And some of it's just sort of anxiety, because people go, this is what I want, but I also want to win. And if it doesn't look like we're winning, do I really want this? And until you get there, there's always going to be that little bit of uncertainty.
We're going to have to finish there. Thanks, guys.
Good luck. Happy Christmas.